This episode of the Informed Fitness Podcast is brought to you by Thrive Market. Thrive Market is on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. To receive a special discount code for 15% off of your first order, email Tim at inboundpodcasting.com. Hi, friends. Thanks again for joining us once again here at the Informed Fitness Podcast. 20 minutes with Adam Zickerman and friends. I'm Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network and a client of Informed Fitness. I've been working out at the Toluca Lake location here in the Los Angeles area for about 10 months now, and I love it. I love the results, I love the environment, I love the trainers who are not only experts in their field, but they're really, really great people and have become good friends of mine, including the nice lady whose idea it was to produce this podcast in the first place, Sheila Melody. Welcome to the show, Sheila.
Hey, Tim. How you doing?
I'm good. You had a nice trip you just returned from?
Yes. I was in Illinois visiting family, and it was awesome. And we had a big old farmhouse, and we all just partied, and it was the best.
Well, very different from Los Angeles, I'm sure.
Very different, but fun.
Saw the pictures on Facebook. Looks like you guys had a really great time. And Adam, we've taken a couple weeks off. Adam, I liked what you did. There was this one time at band camp. Didn't you go there? Is that right? Did you? Did you bring your flute with you, or what'd you learn to play at band camp?
Yeah, well, I am always trying to learn how to play the guitar. But I actually got to meet and listen to small little talks given by Steve Vai.
Wow.
Eric Johnson.
You're kidding. Wow.
Yeah, so you know Eric Johnson.
I do.
Very good. Alex Skolnick played in Testament. It's a heavy metal band.
Yeah, he's awesome.
There you go. Heavy metal band from the 80s, Testament. And a guy named Mike Keneally, who's also a monster guitar player who played for Frank Zappa as well. I don't know if you know, Steve Vai's first job out of Berklee College of Music was to play with Frank Zappa. I mean, talk about being
quite a first gig,
years old
yeah.
and you're working for Frank Zappa.
Incredible.
Which is, he's like the Paganini of rock. I mean, like he the stuff that he wrote is, you have to be a master musician to even attempt to play his stuff. So Mike Keneally's another Zappa band member, and he's also amazing. So we had these jam sessions at the end of the day and at night, and here I was jamming with a group of guys, and we didn't have a drummer at that point. There was a bass player, and we had like 3 guitar players. And now all of a sudden, Mike Keneally walks into our jam room, and we're like, "Do you play drums?" And so
Sure.
There I was playing "Cocaine" by Eric Clapton. Actually, J.J. Cale wrote that, but with Mike Keneally on drums.
Wow, man!
In my head, I was like, I felt like a kid in a candy store.
You were in your element.
Definitely a highlight of the band camp, actually. Having Mike Keneally listen to me play guitar while he was backing me on drums.
Oh, that's a dream. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Mike, top that. What'd you do during your time off?
Everything's great. It's all family stuff. I mean, I got babies, so I'm not going anywhere at camp or, Alaska or anything. One of my clients told me he went to Alaska recently, and I was like, he showed me photographs, glaciers and dog sledding, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Yeah. And I got to do this. I went home and I was just like, hey, honey, next June, I'm thinking maybe guys' trip to Alaska. You think I could do that? And she's like, Alaska? You ain't going to Alaska. You're going to freaking Disney World with your fucking family. That's where you're going.
For the next 10 years. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that was shot down fast. But I said, my 3-year-old is he's awesome. He's like a divine angel one day, and then he's like Al Qaeda the next. So it's kind of interesting. It's interesting.
Well, wait till he turns into a teenager.
Classic toddler, I'm told. Yeah. But everything's good. I just had my 8th wedding anniversary yesterday, so all is great.
Wow.
And
Congratulations. I just celebrated on my 18th the day before yesterday. So anniversary.
That's a lucky number among the Jews. That's high.
So Sheila's been on vacation. Adam's been at band camp.
What I'm talking about.
Mike has been hanging out with his family, and here we are diving back into the content. So, guys, as we move forward, right now where we stand, we're at about 16 different episodes with the Inform Fitness podcast. Certainly want to thank all of Inform Nation for subscribing and becoming members of this community that we dearly love. And before we move any further, what do you think of my swag, guys? My new hat that I'm rocking here, huh?
Looks good.
Looking good, Sheila?
I love that hat.
Yeah.
I've actually gotten compliments. Like I wore the hat out to like my kids, baseball games. I'm hanging out with the parents and everything. Like, hey, nice hat, man. Where is that from?
It's terrific.
The black one or the orange one?
Adam wouldn't
Black
tell
one.
him where it was from, probably. He's like, oh, it's just some fitness.
It's just I don't know, actually.
Well, that's great. Of course, I've got the black Inform Fitness swag hat that Sheila has on display there in Toluca Lake. How about there in Manhattan, guys? You got them out there in the...
We haven't displayed them yet. They're still in boxes because
Well, there's the mesh hat, which Tim is wearing,
Yep.
and that's the one Adam wanted to get.
I love it.
And then there's the regular cotton hat, and I got the orange and the black mesh as well.
It's rust, really, right? It's black and rust,
rust,
right?
yeah.
And rust color. And I noticed on Perksville there, Sheila, I've got a shirt coming to me. I've earned enough points by coming to enough sessions. I've got an Informed Fitness shirt, so I'll wear that next time instead of my Dodger shirt that I'm wearing now to celebrate the fact that we clinched the West. So for you baseball fans here on the West Coast, for you guys on the East Coast, you care less.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Like I had anything to do with it.
I'm happy for him.
I am taking my son to a Yankee game on Friday.
Awesome.
But they're like, I don't think they're mathematically eliminated yet.
No,
but
they're trying to get the division, the wild card there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Yankee Stadium, that's a great place. I had a chance to visit there when I was out in New York a couple of years ago. But
The new one, huh? You went
What's
to the new one?
I did. Well, it wasn't baseball season, but I actually attended a game at the old Yankee Stadium, which was glorious. Truly, it was an amazing experience several years ago.
I actually like it better.
And I like the old one better, but I had a chance to tour the new one about 3.5 years ago with my son, and that was a memorable day for sure. It's still legendary, even though it's new. Really great place to go. All right, guys, let's dive into the content. Let's get into working out again. It's been a few weeks. Good to be back behind the mic with you. And, in the last several episodes, for those that have been listening for any length of time, they know what the Power of 10 is. We know that it's an exercise method. We know that it's weight training. We know that it's slow motion, high intensity weight training. And we know that the goal is to reach muscle failure in our once a week 20 to 30 minute workout session. Today, let's talk about what it's like when a new client arrives at an Informed Fitness studio. Let's walk through their experience, their process, what they experience when they walk into Informed Fitness, and then what you do on the back end. They fill out a really comprehensive intake form. What goes into the initial assessment of a new client? How do you determine what their needs are?
Well, I would just say the first thing we do, and we all learned this from Adam, is connect with that person and find out what it is that they're looking for, what brought them in. So we connect, and then we try to explain to them how this will help them, how this can be designed specifically for them. And we also get to know their experience, if they have any issues, injuries, special need, things like that they can't do, or, you get to know them first because it's different for everybody.
So, Adam, the Power of 10 workout, it's not the same for every client, I'm assuming.
No, it's not. And when we talk about Power of 10 or high-intensity training in general, very often people think it's one of the criticisms and misunderstandings of high-intensity training, especially the way we do it, is they think that it's a one-size-fit-all type of approach. Like, they think that we feel it's a mutually exclusive decision. First of all, like if you do this, you can't or shouldn't do anything else, which is not true. And the technique of lifting weights slowly and working on muscle failure, going 10 seconds up, 10 seconds down, breathing properly. These are certain principles that we go by. But that's where the workout's similarity between person to person kind of ends. There's so many other, it's so multifactorial what goes into a program for somebody's workout, what they're doing, how they're doing it. When I say multifactorial, there are so many, like Sheila was saying, we find out not only what their goals are, which is of course important, and to find out what their belief system is about exercise and where they're coming from and their experiences with exercise. So all that's important to know also. But besides that, there's their genetic factors, their age, the stress levels they have in their life, how much sleep they're getting in their daily routine, how much activity is in their life at that moment, what are they doing now for exercise, what are they doing recreationally. The list goes on and on. Their tolerance for muscle burn.
How do you determine their tolerance for muscle burn until you get them in the gym?
Well, I take a match and obviously you don't know that by looking at somebody. This is, and some of the things that I'm telling you about present themselves over time. Mm-hmm. Some things you know right away. I mean, when you have experience as a trainer, you can kind of size somebody up to an extent. If there's all these experiences that give you look at somebody now after training somebody for 19, 20 years like I've been. There are a couple of, I don't even know how I make these decisions. It's kind of like Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, you just kind of, in a split second, you figure it all out and you don't even know how you did it. Yeah. But it's all your experience that kind of tells you. But you're wrong. You're not always right when it comes to that. And so what you do is you do a generic workout, basic generic workout, and you test the waters and you see how it goes. You have something to go by. You have you've done an intake. You know their life story to an extent. You know if they've exercised before. I mean, one question I always ask somebody when they first started is, have you ever done a high intensity workout before? If I was to tell you, and if they've explained the workout to me, and I'd say, okay, that workout you just said you do, from 1 to 10 being the most intense experience you've ever had in your life, and 1 being not intense at all, how would you describe the workouts you've been doing? And that gives me a clue if they've ever even had a really intense workout before, and if they've ever even pushed themselves to what we call muscle failure. And then you see, this person does not do well when they approach muscle failure. They have great form, but as soon as the burn really starts setting in, they start to freak out a little bit. Well, there's ways to work around that so they get something out of this workout. But for example, we always say that 90 seconds is the window that somebody should reach muscle failure within. If you pick a weight and somebody reaches muscle failure in less than 60 seconds, then it's probably too heavy. And if it's lasting over 2 minutes, it's probably a little bit too light. Having said that, and this is one of the reasons why we get boxed into a theory and we're misperceived, because we always say, about 1.5 minutes to failure, muscle failure. But you have people that if you picked a weight where they would actually reach failure in 90 seconds, it would be too heavy for them. A lot of people say, this is too heavy, I can't move it. And they're psyched out right from the beginning because to reach muscle failure with a weight in 90 seconds, the weight starts out pretty heavy right from the beginning. It's not impossible from the beginning, but it feels heavy. And there's some people, if it feels heavy right from the start, psychologically, they just give up. Something doesn't click with them that the heavier the weight is, the sooner they'll reach muscle failure. And that's actually a good thing, right? We look at it as a good thing. But for some people, if they don't get 3 or 4 reps in before that burn really starts to come, they give up before they even start. That's it. That's just one example. Of how you change the workout, so in other words, so just to finish that thought, for example, so does that mean this person can't work out high intensity and reach muscle failure? No, actually, it doesn't. Not to say there are some people here that I've trained over the years, very few, that really just cannot handle going to muscle failure. In the case like I just described, for most people that are like that, you lower the weight and you reach muscle failure in about 2 minutes. It's amazing how all of a sudden they're willing to go to muscle failure as long as it comes at around the 2-minute mark, not the 1.5-minute mark. So there's an adjustment right there. So we're not married to 1.5 minutes. We're not married to 1 minute. We're not married to any time zone, really. Just a range, of course. And we really do have to get to muscle failure. I think that's just that's like one of a million different types of scenarios.
Yeah, and when someone comes in on day one, we baseline people when they come in, and you never know exactly if they're going to be able to lift a lot of weight or a little bit of weight. We've seen big guys not be able to lift, very, very, modest weights, and we've seen, small people lift a lot of weight. So it's just, you never know. So that's why we have to baseline low to always be safe.
So, Mike, with what you just said, Adam, I've got a question for you. Are there general customizations for maybe just men versus women, regardless of size?
No, that of all the factors that we consider, gender is probably not one of them. Now that you asked that question, I joke sometimes because we train a lot of couples, and some couples are competitive, some jokingly competitive, some truly competitive. And I have to admit that I find, and this is totally anecdotal, and I've been doing this 18 years practically, I kind of find that women very often work out harder than men. They have better discipline, they have better control, they listen better. This is an interesting point. People equate the weight they're lifting with whether they're good or not at this.
It's a way where people have been conditioned for all these years, though, with how they've lifted weights in the past.
Like, it's funny. Like, when I correct a woman's form, she'll say, yeah, I know, I'm not as strong as so-and-so. I'm like, your form and working a muscle failure has nothing to do with your strength. Your strength is adjusted for by just what weights we use. But if I pick a weight that's appropriate for you, your form and you going to muscle failure should look exactly the same as somebody that's lifting much heavier weight than you. It has nothing to do with that. So that's interesting. So a lot of women feel that because they're weaker, that they're not as good at this. And that has nothing to do. Their form, going to muscle failure, the stoicism involved in working out like this.
I think women can deal with this because we give birth.
Right.
We can actually withstand this intensity for, periods of time. I'm serious.
That makes sense.
When you take an intake, when you're interviewing a woman who wants to work out, and we talk about things like this, and very often when I talk about how intense the workout is, and if they don't have any experience with a very intense workout, but they have had children, I say to them, listen, if you were able to give birth, you can do this.
Exactly.
Epidural, no epidural.
It is an interesting question. I have to explore that. But as far as gender is concerned, I think I would almost agree. Most recently, I don't know about all my history as a trainer, but most recently, I can actually think of a couple.
Hey, Mike, are you in the bathroom or something?
You sound like you're talking underwater.
What about right now?
No, it's just your connection. That's all right. We're happy to have a good Skype connection today, so we'll just move forward finally. So what were you saying, Mike? Yeah.
Is that number one or number two?
Oh, God. It's a double flush, I would say, too.
Just drop the kids over the pool?
Man, just the small ones.
Just the little ones.
I was going to say, we have different. The gender thing is I don't know if I have a conclusive answer about that from all my experience, but it's interesting. In New York, we got a lot of Wall Street and stuff like that, and we have a lot. Even if they're not on Wall Street, we have a lot of Type A personalities. And when you introduce them to this concept of going to failure, it is actually something that is difficult for people to accept, and I think I find more men have that psychological shift to accept that this is the goal, in an innate sense, is I think they find it more challenging.
Well, we talked about, Adam, a minute ago, and Sheila, you mentioned a minute ago, that if you can give birth, then you can do this workout. Sheila, do you adjust the workout for pregnant clients?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to, take one of our biggest things is the safety, because when you're going so slow, you're guiding them through, you're watching their every move, basically making sure they're doing it in the right form. Because we go so slow, there's very little chance of injury. But if clients are usually tensed up, they're usually like, and you got to try to tell them constantly, relax, breathe through it until they learn how to do that, how to be in that intensity and breathing. And, I often say, relax, and they're like, I can't relax. It's like, you can't, I don't really mean relax. What I mean is just, it's going to be tough, breathe, and just attempt to keep going. That's all you got to do is attempt to keep going. But on the note about men and women, I definitely see it's harder for men to go to the failure. And especially, I guess, maybe with a female trainer too. They definitely do not like going to failure,
You're right.
with a female trainer or something. They're just like, they can't they just keep trying and trying, so
No, I completely agree with that, Sheila.
process.
As a matter of fact, you were my first trainer, and I didn't want to fail in front of you. I don't like failing in front of Joe, my new trainer, but I can tell you
I would have guessed opposite, actually, in that sense, because a lot of men, they don't want to feel inadequate in front of a woman, so therefore they're going to actually go beyond what they probably should go
They definitely work harder.
No, but
That's a stupid, typical guy who would.
All right, we're talking about two different things here. Let me explain what I'm saying. And see, there's two types of failure we're talking about. What Tim is saying, that he didn't want to go to failure in front of Sheila, is not that he didn't want to go to muscle failure in front of Sheila, because he's still at that point, being new at this, didn't realize that going to failure is what's going to impress you. In his mind, at that moment, was failing meant that he didn't want to not be able to finish that last rep.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
which in his mind was failure. Not like personal failure, like, oh,
Not
I'm a
doing
wimp.
it well.
I'm a wimp. I
Yeah.
didn't get 10 reps like I usually do. Whereas the failure that we're talking about is success. I mean, not finishing
Yeah.
that last rep is muscle failure, and that is success. I always like to make sure that people remember, don't let reaching muscle failure become a frustrating experience.
Well, Adam, I got to
Reaching
tell
muscle
you,
failure is the goal.
it is the goal, but that
Right.
takes time for, I believe, people who've been conditioned for years, the way they've been working out. I can tell you, I've been doing this now for 10 months. And without a doubt, I believe that reaching muscle failure is a learned behavior. I know it's physical because you actually hit failure, but now I know what it's like when I'm approaching failure, and I can experience failure, and I understand when I hit it now. But that was not the case when Sheila was training me 8 months ago.
Right.
Yeah, in the beginning,
That's what I'm
that
trying to
connection, I could tell that person the same the Wall Street guy for the first 10 weeks, and it sometimes still doesn't seep in, even though he knows he has to go to the point of physical muscular failure. It's like there's a disconnect in his brain about accepting it still.
Yeah,
you know
no
what I'm saying?
doubt.
And it's like it's something that does take time to really, for some people, to really make that connection. It's and
Yeah,
that's,
I'm not saying it's a fault of a trainer not explaining it right to somebody. I do know you can explain this to somebody until they're blue in the face, and sometimes some people just never get it. I have a male client that if he doesn't reach failure, if he doesn't last for more than 2 minutes, he doesn't think he did well. He just doesn't think he did well. If I pick a weight where he reaches muscle failure in 90 seconds, he gets off the machine and he says, "Oh, I sucked at that. That was horrible. I was horrible. What's my problem? What's my problem?" I'm like, "You reached muscle failure. You did it." Then the same machine the next week, I lower the weight a little bit. He reaches muscle failure again. He reaches absolute muscle failure, but this time it took him 2 minutes to reach muscle failure. Oh, that was good. That was good. That felt. But by me lowering the weight for this person, so he can reach failure in 2 minutes instead of 1.5 minutes, there's no difference physiologically whether he reach failure in 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. He's going to have the same good response as long as he rests enough in between. That's another factor, by the way.
Of course.
But no, there's no difference. The difference is that now we have somebody who is happy and motivated and not feeling frustrated every single. I mean, obviously, if you have a client that's frustrated after every single exercise, chances are they're not going to last at this very long. If this becomes a frustrating experience every single time they come to work out. But if they come to this workout and every time they come to the workout and they're finished with work and they feel like they had a great workout, that's a good thing.
But this isn't trickery.
And I don't care. I don't care if they reach muscle failure in 2 minutes as long as they feel that they had a good workout and they actually reach muscle failure.
yeah, he just happened to be motivated by the number 2 minutes. You know, it's like motivated meaning like the sense of achievement came there for some reason.
Now, like I was talking about, we were talking earlier about, there's Mike said that there's a mental switch that happens where you finally accept muscle failure. But no matter how many times you explain it to somebody, it might take time for them to make that to process. In this guy's case, by the way, he's been working out with me for years, and he never made that mental connection. No matter how many times I told him failing at 1.5 minutes is fine. You're okay, Bubula. You know, he just couldn't get. He just was upset. So, no matter what I said. So you know what I said. Doesn't matter. Let's just fail at 2 minutes, and we can progress that way. I can raise the weight a little bit each time and still reach that 2 minute mark. Anyway,
Yeah, the thing is, clients have all sorts of different little quirks and stuff like that. And, a good trainer, whether it's at our gyms or any other gym, you got to make connections. You got to see whether the client is with you a little bit, because they can. That might not be the reason also why, for some reason, they might have, not gotten enough sleep. They might, but there's a lot of different things, but you have to sort of connect with what they're giving you, and I think all the trainers here, we work really, really hard to make those connections. I mean, Adam, reached out and said, hey, like he actually, I don't know if Adam, did you just sort of just lower the weight without telling him, and then all of a sudden he felt good afterwards, or like what was the?
I think I made the discovery when I made a mistake picking the weight. I picked a weight that was lighter than it should have been.
And you saw that you sensed that.
So he lasted like 2 and change, right? And he was like, "Oh, that was great." And I never actually heard him say that was great. And I looked at the chart. I said, "What was great about it? Like why was this great versus every other time he's ever reached muscle failure?" And then I realized that he lasted longer. And I finally made the observation, and I said to him, "You know what?" I said, "You like that?" He said, "Yeah, that was. I felt good on that." I said, "You lasted 2 minutes, and I think maybe as long as you last longer than a minute and a half, that you'll be happier." And he said, maybe, I don't know.
So that's just part of learning your clients, just learning how to motivate them.
And again, this show is not necessarily, by the way, for those listening that don't have access to Informed Fitness. I mean, this is not about the client-trainer relationship necessarily. This is also about just listening to us talk about this. If you don't have a trainer, you're just training yourself. Keep this in mind for yourself. What do you feel good about? What feels right to you? You got to listen to your own body. And we're talking about right now muscle failure, but then there's how much time in between workouts, the routine itself. Some people can handle 5. I have all right, I'll give you another example. If you're a really big dude and you work out really, really hard, 5 compound movements in a workout is like plenty for you, as opposed to the slight build, more slow twitch muscle fiber versus high twitch muscle fiber. People like that can do 7 exercises of failure and not be completely metabolically devastated. So just because a big guy, for example, who has different genetic composition, after 5 exercises they are completely spent, they're not a failure because somebody else can do 7 and make it, and they're not a failure either if they need 10 days recovery between workouts as opposed to somebody else who only needs 5 days recovery. You got to pay attention to this. So if you're working out and you're a big dude and you're working out majorly into muscle failure, like you go deep, and you're finding that in general, the once a week workout, like you're finding yourself not getting stronger week after week, and you can't raise the weights and you're feeling fatigued, don't be afraid to extend it for 10 days rest. You might need 10 days rest. Others need less. You have to pay attention to all these things. The bottom line is, are you progressing? Are you keeping good records? Are you seeing your numbers go up? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling spent for too long after a workout? Is it taking you 2 weeks to recover until you feel right? You got to pay attention.
I think the feeling is the key to people. Sometimes the numbers over time, there may be some plateaus in numbers. I mean, if that wasn't true, you'd be lifting like 5,000 pounds on the leg press when you're 85 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. But what's most important is people, they feel like, oh my God, I still feel as strong as I did, or stronger than I did the day before. Picking up suitcases is still easy to me. All those types of things. And then, of course, they're leaving their workouts and they have a sense of energy and, that type of feeling.
Is it still possible to achieve a worthwhile high-intensity stimulus without hitting muscle failure for those that are really struggling with understanding that concept, getting to muscle failure on their own or with a trainer, regardless of where they're listening to this podcast, if there's an Informed Fitness nearby or not? Can you still obtain a high-intensity stimulus required for the Power of 10 to be effective without reaching muscle failure?
For some people, no. For some people, yes. Because muscle failure is not the only factor for growth and strength gains. There's a lot of other factors, genetics primarily. So if you have somebody who genetically responds very well to exercise, they can go to the low end of muscle failure, like just crossing that threshold, if you will. There are other people that unless they really step over that line and go really deep, they're not going to see results. It depends on the individual. So the answer is yes for many people, but not necessarily for all people.
Sheila, when I go into Toluca Lake for my workout once a week, the first thing Joe asks me, and you used to ask me when you were my trainer 8 months ago or so, is what's your energy level today? Low, medium, or high? And so I always say medium or medium low. I don't recall ever having high energy, at least not for the last 10 years or so. But how do you gauge one's workout based upon what their answer is? Low, medium, or high? Why do you ask that?
Just that it's all information so that when we chart your progress, like maybe you don't make a lot of progress, or, maybe you even do less time on the same weight on a particular machine, but we know that there was a reason for that, that maybe you were tired or you came in at a different time. What I find with some clients is like some clients do really well in the morning, some clients do better in the evening or in the mid-afternoon, and some clients will come in the mid-afternoon and they'll do terrible. And it's just everybody has a different energy level at a different time of day.
I like that. Do you alter, if somebody tells you they have low energy when they walk in, I think it's very cool that you note that down, and you also note the time of day, because maybe you might find a trend over time. You might say, you know what, maybe this is not the time of day for you to work out. After you work all day long,
Right.
maybe this is not the best time for you to work out. But aside from that, noticing trends, if somebody says to you that they are feeling really tired today, do you alter the workout, or do you see how the workout goes?
We see how it goes normally, because sometimes you surprise yourself. You might be tired, and it's just, most of the time, if people come in and they're tired, we just say, all right, we're just going to give it a go. Just do the best you can. And usually they do better than they think they might. And then they end up after the workout feeling a boost of energy. Like they feel great. They feel a lot better than they did when they walked in.
Yeah, I've seen that swing many, many, many times.
And I've also had people say they have low energy and then like reach personal bests on a lot of exercises. So sometimes it doesn't always correlate. It doesn't always correlate that just because they're feeling tired that they're going to have a bad workout. So that's why I don't really normally alter it. If somebody tells me that a shoulder is bothering them or this is bothering them, that I might alter the workout for that. But if somebody just says they're really feeling tired today, I think it's great that you note it down that they said that and what the time of day was, and maybe if you keep recording these things week after week. Like I have a client who sometimes she plays tennis the day before she works out, and sometimes she doesn't. So I always ask that specific question: tennis today or no tennis? And we always find that if she didn't play tennis the day before, she has a much better workout, and things like that.
Right.
So.
It's interesting. I think I was going to say, I think it correlates a little bit to what we were talking about before in regards to acceptance of muscle failure, because in a way, if you're tired and you say it out loud, it's kind of like you're almost setting up a very low expectation for yourself, and therefore there's nothing that you don't have to prove anything, so you just do it.
True.
Yeah, so it's like saying, "Hey, he's throwing a no-hitter in the 8th inning." Like, shut the fuck up.
That's right.
The way a lot of performance people, a lot of people who struggle with performance, oftentimes is because they have such high expectations for themselves. Going back to the Type A personality, not able to accept failure, and I think there's a psychology switch that I think that might be there might be a correlation between that coming in with low energy, saying it out loud, maybe potentially just having a low expectation. And like Adam said, I've seen that 100 times where someone said, "I feel horrible today," and they've had a personal best. Seriously,
I've seen that. Right. I've seen that probably 103 times.
Stop you on
the
that.
only time that we might take that weight down a little is if someone's been gone for like 2 or 3 months. For whatever reason, and then they're getting back into it. And then I'll take a look, but even then, you just take it down a little bit, and you just go, okay, you just have to get used to lifting these heavy weights again. Because a lot of times it's like, oh crap, I forgot what this was like, and it takes one workout to get back into it to remind them. So we might take it down just a bit, and then you go right back up,
She's great. I mean, that's for that particular individual. I know other individuals, if I ever lowered their weight because they had a couple of days off or a week off that they normally don't have, and I said, "Oh, I lowered your weight." "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" Did I tell you can lower the weight?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask, Adam. When because I think the longest stretch of time I've been that I missed my workouts were 2 weeks, and I was really afraid that I would lose.
You don't lose it.
No, matter of fact, just the opposite. I come back much stronger. That there's that rest component is so valuable in Power of 10, and I've noticed that from time to time I'll miss a week or I'll miss 2 weeks at the most, and I come back and I'm able to do the weight in a much. One
of my mentors, Rob Serrano in Washington D.C. I would love to ask him to come on our podcast, but he'll probably say no. He hates shit like this. But anyway, he varies intensity from workout to workout. He's noticed that, if somebody goes, let's say goes to 10 being the most intense experience, week number 1, he might go to 8 and 7 for a couple of weeks and then bring on the 4th week, come back up to 10. And he's noticing people progressing better when they're, when he does something like that, not only from a physical point of view, but actually he's noticed over the years that, coming in every single week and going all out to muscle failure can be demoralizing, a little discouraging for some people. They're like, they start to dread it. But if they know that, this is not going to be one of those really crazy hard workouts, this is going to be like an 8 workout or a 7, it keeps them coming back, and then, all right, once a month now, you're going to have that one really killer workout where you feel like throwing up at the end. I'm exaggerating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But not completely, actually. Some people.
That's only happened once in our studio that I know of.
Wow.
Well, you're creating a variation. I think the variation, and I think those are sometimes necessary, especially for clients who've been there who've been with us for a long time. I think that every once in a while, you like a variation, like just setting the intensity a little bit lower, and sometimes you see. Even when you see regular clients, and if I usually you see everything generally goes up, but every once in a while I'll see something plateau, and even I've seen it even go down, and I'm like, what the hell? What is going on? And you look back at the charts, and then I've had this with several people who came twice a week, believe it or not, and I was like, something. I think you need more rest in between your workouts, right? I think we only make you once a week for a while, right? And then we'd see a much better trend. And some people work better that way. I've seen the other way as well. Some people, they got more results by coming twice a week. And it's once again, it's the customization. You got to look at who you got, and then you don't know everything on day one. In fact, you don't know everything after 12 weeks. But it's all sort of a process where we're all like moving. It's moving targets, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to make it better every single time. And I think, and that's how you do it. You don't know if sometimes you need to see them not progress for a few weeks to actually see that type of trend.
Now, one other thing that I just remembered too is they may not progress if they're losing weight. If they're going through a certain diet or something and they're losing weight, like even if it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds over a period of time. I've had a couple clients that have lost like 20, 30 pounds over a period of like 3 months. They're not going to progress.
I won't even train them.
Huh?
I don't even train them. I mean, if somebody comes into my studio and says, oh, by the way, I started this water cleanse or lemon juice with curry,
not a drastic
pepper.
diet like
if they start saying they're on these cleanses and they're not like eating food for like 3-4 days and they're just drinking like water with cayenne pepper and or something like that, I'm like, well, when this little circus trick that you're doing is over, let me know, and then I'll start training you again.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, I don't think you're talking about that.
A really good, like just a good
clean eating,
clean diet. They're just eating right and they're losing some weight, and it's like then they won't progress because your body mass is getting less, and so sometimes you can't lift the same amount of weight, or even if you just hold and maintain during that time, it's great, I think.
So we're talking about the customization of workouts. And, one of the things that I've noticed is in my 10 months of working out is there are a lot of machines in the studio, but I don't use all of those machines. So do those machines come into play when you're customizing a client based upon their goals for the workout? Because there are a lot of machines there I've never touched.
Yeah, I started my business with 5 machines. Mm-hmm. And I had the same 5 machines for a year straight, and my clients progressed with just using those 5 machines. Having said that, they've progressed for a full year on the same exact machines. And they would continue to progress and stay as strong as they can for the rest of their life just doing those 5 machines. Mm-hmm. So they'd be adequate. Now, when you own a gym, however, and you're training so many people to all these variables that we've been talking about, you're limited by just 5 machines. If you happen to get a client that can't do leg press for whatever reason, or can't do one of those machines, so like now you just eliminate a major part of their whole workout. So we have a lot of machines that some people never use because they're doing fine on the routine that we have and they're getting the whole body. Other people, they have tendonitis of the elbow, they have ankle surgery, they have something, and now you can't do leg press. Does that mean we can't work the quads? No, we can do leg extension, we can do leg curl, we can do all kinds of things to overcome the fact that you can't use your ankle right now, or you have a torn rotator cuff. So are there ways to work the upper body without exacerbating the rotator cuff injury? Yes, there are. And you need to not just have a lot of different variety as far as machines are concerned, because it's not just about machines, and this workout is not dedicated for just machines. You can do this workout with anything. Intense workouts are not the exclusive domain of customized machines like we have in Inform Fitness. You have to know you have to know these workarounds. Using either free weights or to avoid exacerbating problems, and still not. A lot of people use an injury or a problem as a cop-out to not work out at all. Oh, my back hurts, I'm not going to work out this week. No, come work out. It might actually feel better if we're careful. And same thing with, like, if somebody has tendonitis of the elbow, you can do a whole upper body workout without even using your elbow, if you know what you're doing, if you have the right options. So, yes, you're going to see machines you might never use, only because the machines that you are using are doing the job. And God forbid, if you got an injury, maybe you will use some of those machines as a workaround. But if it ain't broken, why fix it many times? On the other hand, changing around, using different machines just from a mental state of, just for variety, just to kind of make things a little bit more interesting and to have a different feel for something, even though you're doing fine on the chest with the chest press, maybe you do want to do a set of push-ups from time to time. Maybe you do want to chest fly from time to time. You're still working the chest regardless. And I'm not quite sure there's much of a material difference in changing it up all the time as far as strength gains. I mean, going from chest press to chest fly to push-ups and going back and alternating, there's not much evidence to show that varying it like that is better for the chest than not varying it. But if it's just a matter of keeping somebody's attention and keeping you from being bored, then change it. There's no harm done. And once again, it's always about monitoring things and recording and writing things down. All right, because unless you can record all this stuff, you don't know if these changes are making a material difference or not. And you'll find out over time if they are.
Yeah, like one big thing that we will often do is once they're into the workout and they're doing it well and all that on those basic pieces of equipment, the first 6 or 7 that we start with, then we'll change, like, let's say the leg press on 1 week we'll do the leg press, the next week we'll do leg extension, leg curl. And so we change that up. That's one of the main things we'll do after a while, but it depends on the client. Some clients can't do leg extension, but they can do the leg press, because of a knee issue or something like that. So, we change those things up. And then sometimes clients, we have an ab machine, and there are certain clients that just hate it. Not because they don't want to do the exercise, but their body just does not fit into that machine. It just doesn't work right with that machine, So we will then we'll maybe do some floor sit-ups, or we'll do the rotary torso, which is also a real good core workout. So, or planks or things like that. And they're still getting, most of the time, if it's an ab issue, during the entire workout, we're trying to remind people to use your abs, hold your abs, do this. And by the time you get to the abs, you're halfway, fatigued anyway. So, it's just constantly reminding people that you're using, by staying in that perfect form, you're using other muscles, then what are the main ones that are being isolated in that particular exercise? So that anybody who wants to do this can do this, and we can design the workout to be what you can do. It's best for your body. It's not just one set thing that everybody does the same thing. We're going to come in and custom design this for you. So no matter how old you are, how young you are, what issues you might have, come in, give it a try, and see if you can, if you like it, because I think most people who come in love it and they're addicted right away.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
I don't have much to say. I think we covered a lot during the actual podcast, but I just want to encourage if for people who are curious about trying it out, that we're definitely going to take very, very good care of you. That's all.
And I'd like to say that for most of you that don't have access to a place that has this type of workout, don't let that discourage you either. The principle, you can get my book, Power of 10, but the big takeaway for this is really to start, learn how to do it, be basic with it, and then take it from there. Pay attention to your body, pay attention to how you feel, pay attention to your results, write down your results, and adjust accordingly. And think about it. Think about the variables that we talked about. Are you getting sleep? What are you doing outside of the workout itself? Maybe you need some more rest as you see yourself plateauing. So, obviously it helps to have an experienced trainer that is kind of hypersensitive to these factors and can notice them right away. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it yourself at all.
Hey, why don't you give the workout a try for yourself, just like I did about a year ago? Visit informfitness.com for a list of locations across the U.S. If you don't happen to live near one of the locations, jump on over to Amazon and pick up Adam's book, Power of 10, the once-a-week slow-motion fitness revolution. Inside, you'll find some easy-to-follow instructions to perform this workout at just about any gym or even at home. And back here in the podcast, Adam, Mike, and Sheila can answer a question or respond to a comment you might have regarding the Power of 10. Just shoot us an email or record a voice memo on your phone and send it to podcast@informfitness.com. You can also give us a call at 888-983-5020, extension 3 to leave your comment or question. You might even have a suggestion on some topics we should cover here on the show, or might have a guest in mind you'd like for us to interview. All feedback is welcome. Thanks again for joining us here at the Inform Fitness Podcast. For Adam, Mike, and Sheila, I'm Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network.